Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Reality Right After. I am your host, Welington Gomez, of course. And today I'm here with my right hand every week. Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Wellington.
How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I'm really good. Today's a beautiful day.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited too because at the round table, of course, Housewives connoisseur and host of his own show, Gabbing with Gib, is Gibson Johns.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
at the
for
round
having
table.
me. I'm excited.
We're here to talk all drama, all reality TV,
As
the
per
things that we
usual.
love, as per usual.
Next question.
So first things first, because we love to just get right to it on the show. What got you interested in reality TV? Like, what was the culminating moment where you were like, oh, this is the type of stuff I like to watch?
I've always loved watching it. I literally, I watched Survivor season 1, Big Brother season 1. That was my entree into it, the competition stuff. Because
Right.
my older brother would put it on, and then we watched Bravo with the early stuff like Project Runway, Queer Eye. We were watching all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Early Housewives. But then professionally, when it hit for me was that I was doing entertainment news kind of stuff, a lot of writing. And the people on my team who were higher up than me were interviewing celebrities. And I was like, I want a piece of this pie.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was taking all the people that nobody else wanted to interview just to get the experience.
Yeah.
And then you sort of start to interview people you actually know and you're aware of. And I found that 15 minutes with a housewife is much more valuable, and you're going to get much more information out of them versus 15 minutes with some big celebrity who is just promoting something and they don't have to tell you anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Housewives and Bravo stars and reality stars, their lifeblood is sharing their life with you.
Right.
And so they have to be an open book. And I'm like, why don't I go down that lane? I'm going to watch these shows anyway. So that's professionally sort of where it shifted. I sort of was like, and they were getting picked up more. And just because the fan base is so in tune with everything, they want any sort of tiny piece of information. So I was like, why don't I try to give people that kind of stuff? So that's sort of how it shifted for me.
What would you say was your favorite Housewives? Like, what your favorite franchise?
Yeah. Historically, it was New York and Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to somebody, and those two to me just feel like the most classic. I always liked the humor.
Yeah.
That's what really, I think, attached me to Housewives early on. It's early New York is really, Bethany was really effing funny back in the day. Early Nene, Next Question. It's those shows are so funny. And that's I was in high school, I guess, when they started. That's what I wanted to laugh.
Right.
We were raised on it.
Yeah, literally. And that, it honestly helped form some of my humor.
Right.
You know what I mean? To this day.
No, I specifically as a gay man, I feel like Housewives, Atlanta, Nene Leagues, they give us a lot of our lingo that we still using today.
Oh my God.
You know?
Yeah. And you don't even remember that it actually came from that.
Right.
And it's full circle, especially with Atlanta, because they got a lot of their lingo from the elder Black queer communities that they were running through in Atlanta. So
100%.
And even just to see Atlanta amplify Miss J, Derek, all these different.
Dwight.
That was something we've never, seen on television before. When it wasn't a trend to do it.
Exactly.
Totally, I totally agree. So yeah, that was sort of the early faves.
Well, listen, I remember when I started watching reality TV, I just had moved to this country. My aunt was already here, and she used to love the Real Houses of New Jersey because we're from Jersey. So that was literally the first thing that caught me when it came to Housewives, New Jersey. And it was season 1. I was like, this is insane.
What is this shit?
My introduction into reality TV was Flavor of Love and the Jersey Shore.
And the Jersey Shore.
And then I got into Housewives. So that was kind of my, and Bad Girls Club.
Bad Girls Club.
And the challenge, to your point, MTV Challenge and Real World were
when I was younger, I was definitely more of a competition show.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And those are more pervasive too.
I was voting on X Factor every week.
Oh, American Idol. I cried when Jennifer Hudson got eliminated.
Exactly. The competition shows back
you get
in the
invested.
day.
Yeah. I think we were talking actually off mic before. It's we were talking about, when people don't watch a show, like start with season 1 because you want to get the investment.
Exactly.
The competition shows did a really good job of getting you invested in those people. They would tell the sob story and then you'd root for them. You know what I mean?
The production is actually really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like CT and DM is peak.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
CT is still booked from
he was one of the traders.
Literally. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, let's get into some mess.
Okay.
It's time to the word on the street, like our favorite Giselle Bryant likes to say.
Yeah, it's a little too clean in here.
It's a little too clean. Yeah. We need to get to the mess. We need to get to the commentary. So right before we get into this, make sure you are subscribing to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching us on YouTube, on the Reality Rundown YouTube channel, make sure you hit subscribe because, we come here every week and we want to give you the content. So first things first, have you guys seen Kim Zolciak and her random ass Twitter posts that are connected to a link, and the link is super dramatic and it's clickbait. She's getting paid to like promote an article link and she's being super dramatic. So Kim Zolciak posted a picture in black and white of her and Croy, and she hashtagged it RIP with a link to an article. Everybody thought that was super dramatic because it's like, girl, what are you doing right now? Sends the wrong message. We know it's clickbait. Are we really this down bad right now?
Yes.
Right. So, she actually, her daughter, Ariel, even was so gagged by the fact that she posted that and she went on and reacted to it and was like, listen, I was just as shocked as everybody else. I don't know what's wrong with my mama. She crazy as hell. So then Kim actually spoke out and she's defending herself.
What'd she say?
And the post, she says, I am tired of all the lies and accusations. Every day it's always something new and I'm tired of so much bullshit being thrown my way. So you want to know what? What died? Here's the truth. I used a picture of both of us and I said RIP. And frankly, at the end of my relationship, it felt like death, sort of. So RIP to that. That's what I meant. And I can say whatever I want. And yes, my relationship was lost too, so it seemed fitting.
I knew she was down bad when she was on Poshmark selling bags.
That part.
If I put a picture of us 3 or us 2 and put RIP, the assumption is you died.
Exactly.
Yes.
Especially if it's coming from your Twitter.
And also, it was also hashtag link in bio. And the link was to deaths from last year. I understand, her relationship is dead.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. That was
but
like
move. It's a pivot.
Yeah.
It's a reach.
I think that we've seen a lot of housewives for I don't even know what this business is of like these like links because
Vicky does it. Very
Vicky
notorious.
does it sometimes. We see that Kim is notorious for it. I'm waiting for them to get Katie from Potomac because she's always on Twitter rambling too. So I'm waiting for them to get. They usually like target those like low level.
Yeah.
The name of the game is engagement, and so especially in this world with social media, so that's what the girls are doing. It's sad, I have my notes about Kim and about how she showed up in Atlanta and certain things that I just really didn't like, but it is hurtful to see such a fall from grace because she is an iconic housewife, whether you like her or not. She's contributed a lot to Atlanta as a franchise, low down dirty monkey with a wig.
Right.
But it's like a full circle moment, and I feel like she's not healthily coping with the fact that maybe she's not as wealthy as she once was. She blew through the money.
She lost a marriage that so many people rooted for.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Croy was Kim's saving grace, and I feel like the audience felt like, Croy's here to kind of like get herself together. So seeing that even that, came apart, it's really sad to see how down bad she is.
Oh my God. And some of at a certain point, I stopped paying attention to a lot of the headlines. It just got a little too sad. Honestly, it's like, there was footage that came out of like the cops coming to their house. There was some big fight. Like it just got too dark. And this was happening around the time when people were like, you know, who's coming back to Atlanta, who's leaving.
Exactly.
And everyone was like, bring Kim back. There's so much mess. And I'm like, this is the kind of mess that I don't want to see.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like crossing some sort of line where I would feel almost like icky watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. You're right. It is sad. Like, one, because their relationship at a certain point was really good. They had this really cool blended family.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed really happy with him. They had this long running reality show together.
Yes.
I didn't love the show, but they had the show.
And it was
and they were definitely overspending for their lifestyle. I think it's very obvious. I don't know. It's definitely like a teachable moment. I think a cautionary tale for like other housewives probably.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's redemption for Kim? She's supposed to be on the second season of The Surreal Life, which is a new show that they're doing.
Right.
I think it's on VH1, where they invite a bunch of past celebrities, reality stars to live in a house together, do a bunch of stuff. She's supposed to be on that. So we're going to see Kim, I hope, soon some type on television, and we'll get to see how she did on that show. But I wonder, like, can she ever come back to like what she used to be?
I think she would have to work, right? Similar to what we say about Giselle and Potomac.
Yeah.
Kim got a lot of favoritism in Real Housewives of Atlanta, and that's why when you look at that last reunion that Kim was on, all of those ladies, who some of them hate each other, came together to annihilate her.
Right.
And I think it had to do with her not contributing equally, and then also getting more benefit, like a spinoff, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had this real, I'm better than this. I don't need y'all. I'm doing Kim Kardashian numbers, whatever.
Right.
So I think if she was to come back to Housewives, it would have to be in a way where she's playing ball, right? I also think that similar to what happened before, especially if there's a Kenya and a Portia, they might tussle with Kim a little bit, which I would love to see Kim and Kenya tussle.
Right.
I think we need that. I would like to see her on some other shows, like the show, Traders, all these other shows where I feel like her personality,
even
Big Brother,
House of Villains, I feel like
House of Villains, any of those sort of shows, I think I would like to see. I would love to see her on a girls trip.
That's, you know, so I don't think that Kim will ever be back on Real Houses of Atlanta, but I'm like, we made some space for some really interesting characters on Ultimate Girls Trip.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give Kim a try on the Girls Trip.
I want to throw her in with some of the New York like. I always see how she interacts from a Black perspective. I would love to see how she crosses over to like a Beverly Hills.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I just think that she needs to show like
Girl.
I think she needs to show that like she is like on the path to rebuilding her life, like post this whole situation.
Exactly.
I feel like she's so in it that like if she jumped into like even this real life, I don't know exactly like how much they would question her about her life on that show, but like give it a year.
Right.
You know, like she needs to
get this together.
She needs to find her feet, maybe move out of that big house and stop paying off that big mortgage and maybe go to a smaller
a
residence.
townhouse like Marlo.
Get a condo next to Robin.
Yeah.
Listen. It would be a smart move.
You got a house, girl. Stop it.
It would be a smart move.
It would be a smart move.
I'm just saying, sometimes you have to eat a little humble pie.
Right. Listen, wish you the best, Kim. Get your shit together, though, and stop posting them damn links. I'm tired. Moving on to some other news that was actually really disturbing and made me feel so weird. Mary Cosby allegedly calls Lisa Barlow's son, who's 12, the R word, amid Real Housewives of Salt Lake City production. So Mary Cosby allegedly called Lisa Barlow's 12-year-old son, Henry, the R word, and I'm sure that we are aware of what that is, in an argument. Argument amid production of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 5. Multiple sources claim to Page 6. It was a crazy fight between Mary and Lisa. Another source came out and said that they have made amends at this point and that they have both moved forward. How did this story make you feel when you first saw it?
Not good. But also not really that surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mary is still on the show. She's back on the show. I think she's apparently full-time because she says things that are out of pocket and disrespectful, and what this definitely crosses a line.
Right.
I'm assuming it actually happened if it's in page 6, but it definitely didn't feel good to read that. But again, like, it's not the most surprising thing that she said something that she shouldn't have said. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not defending it at all. I think you can't use that word in the year 2024, but especially also it's like, it's that, but it's also talking about the kid. And so it's combining those two things, which just doesn't make you feel good.
I think as soon as I saw it, the thing that struck to my head is the fact that in Housewives land, there is this rule about kids, you know, like we argue between ourselves, but let's not get the kids involved. And I think that the moment that I saw that it was involving Lisa Barlow's son, I was like, okay, this is tricky because it's just kids are off limits. What certain words are also off limits. I do think that this franchise is so interesting to me because I feel like Mary left when she left because of situations like this, of her saying things that people felt like were not okay. And everybody kind of was, when Mary first left, the Black community was pissed. But I feel like everybody else that watches Bravo outside of the Black community was actually happy that she was leaving because of the things that she had said, right? So then she comes back, gains so much popularity through this last season because she's the comedic relief, to the point that she's now back again full time, and then this comes out.
I was just waiting for you guys to finish because you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
What are you gonna say?
This is a show about diverse perspectives, so I'm gonna preface this with a disclaimer that everybody at the Reality Rundown does not condone derogatory slurs or misnaming and saying things that are hurtful or harmful, especially to children. Now, I think the elephant in the room, as seen with, what's the girl's name who was Reality Von T's? Monica with Jen, with Mary. I think particularly there's a lot of, and I don't think Mary articulates herself well. She's also a Black elder. And so I think if you're not in the Black community, when you watch it, there are certain nuances that you don't understand about, like,
how Mary communicates
or how we relate to Mary and how she communicates, although what she says is inflammatory. So I think Lisa Barlow, when she paired up with the woman who threw that glass at Mary, when, you know, she's super pro-Trump and all these things, and then how Mormonism has this huge racial undertone where Black people couldn't be Mormons for a long time, and they said that our skin was like, you know, the mark of the devil, essentially. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but that's the settlement. I'm paraphrasing. I think Lisa and Mary have a complicated relationship. I think Mary believes that Lisa is a racist, and that Lisa has done racist things to her. So in Mary's mind, I think that's why their arguments get so nasty and dark, because she feels like, I feel like you're racist towards me, and we're doing this tussling thing, and it's wrong. If she said this, what she said is completely wrong. But I think they leaked this to the press to, like, take away from, because I feel like on Salt Lake City there's a battle of who's going to be the top snowflake.
For sure.
They're all trying to battle.
There's a core four.
There's a core four, and Mary can come in in a few moments and just be that.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think in the core four, Lisa seems to be the one that everybody's scared of or wants to be friends with, or who's in Heather, who people are maneuvering around. But the fans are kind of like, oh, Mary's so funny, she's this and she's that. And then I also want to talk about, like, when it comes to Black elders, especially in the church, or just growing up culturally, we use the R word a lot, like in terms of AAV language. I don't want to make this a blanketed statement because I don't want to speak for all Black people, but when I was growing up as a young person, we would say that to each other, like, you're this, you're that. But as you get older, you're responsible for re-educating yourself. And right now in 2024, that's just not something that we're doing. But I do think Mary, being a Black woman in Salt Lake City, I see that she has a cognitive dissonance to the world today.
Right.
How she operates, how she talks, her house, how she communicate socially, there is a dissonance there. So I think that when people engage with Mary, if you're being genuine, you will understand that how she operates in the world she lives in is not the same world that we're living in. So I think, but with a little education, Mary, that's completely inappropriate, auntie. You don't need to be saying that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to offer a little nuance there.
Yeah, that was really well said.
I really like the way you put that, because there is, we discuss it all the time as Black people that watch the show. Like, we kind of understand certain things because of our backgrounds, but it's like, the TV game is the TV game, you know? When those cameras are on, honey. And it doesn't matter if you don't know something. It doesn't matter if you're not educated. You're rich, you got access, you can be educated.
Yeah, and at this point, everyone who steps in front of those cameras, you just know that if you, and obviously with Mary, there's a different expectation, different whatever, but ultimately the camera sort of flattens that. You know what I mean? And even when something like that leaks in the press, there's no context around it, right? And again, that doesn't. I don't think that context
matters.
It matters in this instance, but like it just. This is the headline. You know what I mean? And then it's going to be picked up on all the fan pages, and that's just how. Nobody knows anything else other than the fact that she said the word, which she should not have said. And I hope it is a learning lesson. And I hope that like after that, there's like a good conversation about it, honestly. Because I'm sure there's people watching the show who also still might use that word. And they shouldn't be, you know?
There's a lot of people in Bravo using words that they're not supposed to be using.
100%.
You know?
And so... Yeah, and it's a tough conversation.
The two people that, which I'm so grateful that you guys are, willing to navigate. The two people that are involved in this have moved forward. So there's definitely something, to be said there. So let's see how this plays out in the next season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I think that everybody's definitely going to be watching now specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all of the things that are happening. But I wanted to move on to more... interesting story. So, have you guys heard that Alexia Napola's husband, Todd, blindsided her and filed for divorce?
I'm so sad for her.
What do you think when you saw that? Because I was like...
I hope she didn't sign a prenup.
The last season of Miami, we open up with this dramatic scene where everybody's linking up at Alexia's, and she's like, well, Todd is not here. Don't worry. I'm not getting a divorce, though. Like, that was literally how last season started. So now that season wraps, and we're I think they're still in production for this current season, or about to be.
They haven't started filming.
They haven't started filming?
Yeah.
So, we're definitely going to get most of it. I was really shocked. I was really shocked. And she posted that she was blindsided, basically. And Marisol went on the podcast. My read on it actually ties into what you just brought up, which was that premiere party that they had last season. He didn't show up to that party because he was too embarrassed about that 9-minute video he posted on his Instagram, which was like a big apology to Nicole's husband about whatever. I forget what happened. But he posted this very like embarrassing social media video. And I personally think that he thought that I think he was down for the fame aspect of what Alexia brought to their relationship, the spotlight. But I think that the spotlight shone on him in a different way than he expected it to.
He anticipated.
And it didn't make him look good.
Exactly.
And I always sort of, that tension was a little bit in the back of my head with them. I'm shocked that he filed for divorce.
Yeah.
But I feel like that has something to do with it. I feel like he jumped into this life with her from the fame perspective. And I don't know if I think he realized he wasn't cut out for it or wasn't going the way he wanted it to go.
And I think now he just wants to distance himself from the entire thing, which means her.
Yeah.
Because she is a housewife.
Yeah. And she would never give it up.
Exactly. And I think that...
which she shouldn't have to.
She shouldn't have to.
And nothing's ever totally blind. I don't... And it's scary how she said, I'm not getting a divorce. And then... I think something
we know with some of these housewives, they get tunnel vision.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think it's hard. I don't know what it's like to be on a show like this, but I feel like it'd be hard not to want to paint your life as a fairy tale, especially all that she's been through, I can't relate to it, but I'm imagining that's part of it.
Especially because, before the reboot, Alexia almost left the show because of the things that were happening. She left the show, actually. I think one season she was demoted to friend of because of all of the things that were happening. You know, Frankie's accident. It was a lot for her. So the new reboot was supposed to be this redemption of Alexia, you know, her comeback. She's in a new relationship. She's better than ever. She's still the Cuban Barbie of Miami. I was shocked to hear that Todd filed for divorce. I think that you have it right in the sense of like, Todd did not realize what he was getting himself signed up to. I think that Alexia was probably like, you know, be yourself on camera, be yourself on camera, be yourself on camera. And I think that conversation during that season when him and Nicole's husband bumped heads, I don't think he liked the way that he saw himself in that argument because he looked very childish, you know?
I think you're right.
And I think that he tried to have a corrective action with that video, which came out to be even more corny. So it's sad that you have to divorce, break a marriage, and distance yourself from this entire thing because of the insecurity of people talking about you in a certain way.
Better now than later.
I agree.
And you know what? Sometimes certain things come out to you in different ways, and probably this is a blessing for Alexia. She has a storyline now. It fell right into her lap. And we know Alexia, she's going to jump into this. So I'm very excited to see how this goes because we also know that Lisa is also still going through her divorce from Lenny. So now there's going to be a competition of the divorces on Real Housewives of Miami. So wishing Alexia the best, but that concludes our
hot topic.
Our hot topics. Okay. The word on the street, honey. But let's get into some Summer House because that's really what I want to. I have Gibson on the roundtable today, and I feel like out of all of the people in the Bravo universe, especially the commentators, like I love the fact that you give Summer House so much attention because it needs it. And everybody's talking about Housewives already. It's such a saturated space. I love it when other people are talking about other shows. So this season, the relationship problems we see between Amanda and Kyle, first of all, before we get into, the mess. Kyle being so into Loverboy and neglecting somehow his relationship with Amanda, and Amanda kind of being like, girl, like, I'm not really trying to work as much as you're working.
Right.
She's not cut out to, like, she understands that Kyle is building this company, but she also wants to keep a very healthy balance between like working and being part owner of this company. So that's causing a lot of problems because I think Amanda wants to have a child or at least like start planning to.
Or at least move out of the city to sort of lay the groundwork for that life.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that maybe Kyle is too stuck in the Summer House mentality, you know?
Yeah. I feel like everything that's happening with them is so tied to the show.
Yeah.
And that like they helped build their business via the show. And the show to be on the show, you have to keep up a certain lifestyle. He just turned 41. And so I think anybody on the outside and probably to Amanda in a lot of respects, it's like being 41 and living this lifestyle doesn't exactly line up.
Yeah.
But they're still building this business together. And maybe it's like, he's like, this is all speculation, but maybe it's like he was like, let's just stick it out for a little bit longer, because this is not the show. Their time on the show is not going to last forever. I think Summer House is a show that you age out of probably, or your lifestyle graduates out of that. So I understand his mentality of like just keep grinding because he's such that personality type. But I also get Amanda's thing. I feel like they probably were on the same page about a timeline, and I think the timeline has shifted. And then she's frustrated with that, which. Yeah. I see that obviously as well.
Yeah, and I think that Amanda, she was down for the show. She's down for the show, but I think Amanda can actually live outside of the show. And I feel like Amanda actually wants to start her life and kind of like move forward. And she's trying to make that space for him. But I honestly, as a viewer, because Summer House is a show that I watch, and I'm completely like a viewer. Like I don't know none of these people, and like. As a viewer, I do think that it's time for Kyle and Amanda to kind of like upgrade,
Upgrade in terms
graduate.
So go out of the show, you mean?
Leave the show. I think that when we saw, you remember Real Girlfriends of Paris?
Oh, yeah.
Honey, no one watched.
Okay, but the yawn was right. The yawn was done right.
No one watched, honey, so you're fine. But when that show came out, I was like, if they do that with like a Real Girlfriends of New York or like or Real Friends of New York,
I've been saying
they kind of like upgrade and graduate the Summer House cast into a more like in between,
like they did with Vanderpump.
Do the Valley, but in New York, the city. Call it the city. Actually, we've already had this show called The City from the Hills.
Yeah,
but call it something like that.
Yeah. So, exactly.
Follow their lives in the city.
Because I feel like that's when programming starts to make sense.
Yes,
and we know that Bravo cultivates this Bravo celebrity. You know, like they like to take people from different shows, and so why not create that new avenue? Because as a viewer, it does feel weird because when I watch Summer House, I want to see people having fun. I want to see young people that necessarily don't have things to worry about, things at risk, things to lose. I want to see a Shanice, you know, like
oh my God, yeah,
comes
Queen
to the
Shanice,
Summer House, and she's like, I'm ready to even be naked on camera.
Yeah, literally.
We're gonna vacation and party.
Yeah,
it's a young people show.
Yeah, I do think that like this season of not Martha's Vineyard, of the original Summer House. Has a good balance of that. Like I think the addition of Wes and Jesse was really good about that. So like there is a nice balance. To me, like last season did not have enough of that.
No.
By any means.
No.
I do think I agree that it's like we're in a transition moment for the show where it's resulting in an amazing season of Summer House.
Yeah.
But at a certain point we gotta graduate into a new show, bring in new blood, and maintain that energy of party, summer, share house, Hamptons.
I think the producers try to every season bring in new blood to kind of like get the vibes going in the house, and that's fine. But it's never enough because a lot of the people on the show are couples. Yeah, you know, and some of the girls that are not couples with the other guys that are on the show, they're like Paige is in a relationship with Craig from Southern Charm, so like. She's on the show, but she's not really doing anything to compromise her relationship with Craig, you know? And even this season, we see, I'm forgetting his name right now.
Craig?
No, the new boy, not Wes. Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse's kind of like liking Paige a lot. And he's trying to flirt with her. And Paige is like, I don't know if you know, but like, I am in a relationship with Craig. So... it even makes it hard for the new blood to kind of like even get messy because the girls are taken. We're all gonna fight over Ciara. Wes is already there. You know, it's like a lot. And then like Danielle has drama from Winter House, so she really doesn't really even want to date. So she's kind of like in a gray area. So
it's not salacious enough. Give us,
you know, right? Yeah. Like so, we're focused on the couples, and then which leads us to Lindsay and Carl. And I was so taken back, honestly, when the episodes that I've seen of their relationship, because we know that they broke up their engagement, right? However, they start the Summer House together. And we start to see these problems that are happening and cultivating in their relationship. And we kind of see their relationship deteriorating in real time. One of the most moments that I was like, wow, was when at the beginning of the season when Lindsay was accusing him of still being on drugs. Carl is a recovering drug addict. Your fiance that you're supposed to marry, you're on this show. You're saying things like this on camera. We know how sobriety is so sensitive to people that are struggling with sobriety, right? So for my fiance to be the one to question my sobriety, I definitely understood Carl up to that point. What do you thought about that?
I agree that definitely, I think going into the season, we had a picture of what happened. I think that what we're seeing is coloring in some of the lines. I think since that first conflict that happened with them in this season, which Lindsay was not correct for saying some of that stuff, I think that some of the stuff that we've seen from Carl has also complicated that picture. So it's like, I think that they both, I think probably Lindsay in particular, like had this, like she was willing to work through a lot of these problems for the sake of getting married. She wants to have a child, like all these things. And I think that when you're so in what they thought was, when you're so in love, and like sometimes, especially on camera, like we talked about Alexia, sometimes you have tunnel vision. I think she was willing to work through them, and he realized that those were not issues that they could work through, or they were fundamentally incompatible. I don't know. It's like, it's tough to watch some of this stuff. It's kind of dark. And, you know, I see issues on both sides, to be honest. And like, I think everybody would agree that it's just good that they just didn't go through with the wedding. Like you said, it's good to cut it before you're involved in so many ways. And it's it's like, I feel like every week we're like, it's like a different sort of topic that they're uncovering with one another. And it's really interesting. I think it's actually really interesting, but
they're
also
barely
sad.
communicating, but they're communicating with other people in the house about their relationship. Every time they have one-on-ones, the one-on-ones seem to be very toxic because they're both so mad and so like also secure in their point that they're arguing with each other.
Yeah, and I also think that like we know how Lindsay is, and that's one of the reasons why I love her on the show is that she isn't afraid to just like say it, activate, ruffle feathers. Like that's like to me, that's why she's such a good reality star. But I think what we're seeing on the show is a little bit, Carl knows her too. So he seems surprised that she's about certain qualities with Lindsay. And it's like, well, Lindsay's always been this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if he was trying to change her or whatever, but like that has been interesting because I'm like, a lot of it's not really necessarily surprising to me because we know how Lindsay is. You know, she gets activated. She says, she puts her foot in her mouth. She's always done that. And then she learns, but I don't know.
To be completely honest, though, I'm going to say this. I think that if they weren't on the show, I think that, in my opinion, of course, I don't know the nitty gritty, but I think they probably would have had a fair shot at actually trying to fix something. I think a show like Summer House is hard to like be in Carl's position and be in a show like Summer House.
Totally. It's so based around drinking.
It's Summer House.
Yeah.
Like we're going to the Hamptons to get drunk.
It's like it's almost like a prerequisite to the show.
Exactly.
It's part of the conceit of the show.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, that's when I think that it comes to a point where like our lifestyle is not matching what we have to do on this show, which then creates drama in our relationship, which then has us fighting.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a vicious cycle.
When do we say like, this might not be what's best for me and maybe let's just leave this show and like focus on, I think that that's the problem with reality TV, that it's so, when you're a reality star, and especially a Bravo celebrity, like there's so much that comes with being a Bravo celebrity, BravoCon and Watch What Happens Live appearances and all of this, that it's hard to give that up even for your own sanity.
Well, I think that maybe that was part of, this is total speculation, but there was going to be a wedding special, you know, like they were going to get engaged. They were engaged. They had a full season together and then they were going to get married in the fall. And that was probably going to be part of the, maybe one more season, married couple comes to the Summer House and then sort of graduates out. I think there was a plan for that. That's kind of probably what it was. Obviously that's not the case. And we're kind of back to ground zero. So it's sort of like, it's a cycle.
I definitely don't see Carl coming back to the Summer House next season, especially if, you know, they're broken up.
Right.
He's sober. I feel like Carl needs to move on. Like, and even this season, as I'm watching him, he's not doing anything. He's literally there because I think of contractual reasons and, you know, like we're making this money, we're making this. But I definitely think that Carl should move on next season. I think that, like you said, this is a cultivating, an important point in Summer House because next season is going to be kind of like a lot of new blood based on all of the situations with the relationships. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And in the same way, also excited because we also have another Summer House that premiered and it's on its second season, Summer House Martha's Vineyard. What was something that you liked about Martha's Vineyard when it first came out that was like, you know?
I liked that it felt like a genuine group of people who knew each other.
Right.
They didn't all know each other, but they all had some actual connection with one another. Like it was casted via the cast, which really felt important to me. And I actually like that it's different than the original Summer House, that they're there for 2 weeks.
Right.
They're there for 2 weeks straight and they don't leave. And when you're in a house like that for 2 weeks, the tension just gonna go up and up and up and up and up and up, and it's gonna just result in like more chaos and like that creates for good reality TV. And then they're not afraid to also give us moments of like more poignant things and like talk about more important things. And it's a really nice balance, I thought, that first season.
No, the first season of Summer House Martha's Vineyard, I think, is one of the best seasons of reality TV that we've seen in a while. Like when it comes to a new season of a show, great casting, great fun moments, educational moments as well that were important to have specifically for the Black community, seeing it this entire show.
Also, as a white person, I learned a lot from those conversations.
You learn a lot, So I think it was important. That's why, like, Preston's performance during season 1 of Summer House, I loved it because it was so needed. Awesome. Summer House season 2, Martha's Vineyard season 2, there's a shift for me.
In a bad way?
In a bad way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In a bad way.
I have a few notes.
This is the first time that I'm speaking about this, like, on the podcast. It's so hard for me to speak about the shows that I love in a bad way. But I think we're going down the wrong path when it comes to Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I think that the cast came a little too aware of the camera this season. I think that I'm like, why are you here if you're not willing to do anything? If you're not trying to have fun, if you're not trying to do, why are you here?
Who are you talking about?
Go ahead so I could cut you up. Get it out.
Jordan, love you, sister, down.
I thought you was going to say something else.
Love you, sister, down.
But I feel like she's going through a tough time that coincided with filming. That's what I think. That's how I'm reading Jordan's demeanor.
Did she have that situation during Winter House?
That's what I'm like.
It's a valid question.
We saw Jordan on Winter House, and I actually loved Jordan on Winter House because I'm like, oh, like she kind of like opened up more.
Let me provide some nuance.
Like you always do.
Like I always do. I think, similar to my critique on Candace and Black people of that ilk, is that for the first time we're getting to see some of the Black wealth beats on TV, right? Because the assumption is that Black people aren't affluent, and that's not true. So when you have Oaks Bluffs, when you have Jack and Jill, when you have Divine Nine, fraternities and sororities, traditionally these were all reserved for Black people who come from wealth. These were closed door clubs. As things got, information gets out, they've been more open to people who are not as affluent, or it's not this like closed door thing that is only open to these things. The issue that's being shown this season is that there's no dimension in the cast outside of Preston, right? So when you look at it that way, Preston got into this class through education, right? Through his career success, which tends to happen for Black people. Is like they access these rooms through education, through talent, through craft, versus it being generational. So the drama, the way in which Jordan reacts, the way in which what's the other girl's name, Summer reacts, the way in which Bria reacts, there's no range there, right? So it's like I have these all, and with Shanice, their reactions to things are so similar. The way they perceive the world is so similar. The way it's not fun to watch. It's not. Then it becomes not an accurate representation of Black women, and that's how it's starting to feel. So I can look at this show and say, I understand why you're upset, but I don't know myself or any of my friends who would react the way that you're reacting. And it's like, what's happening? Like, why are we like? And then, it just feels contrived, like you said, to your point about the cameras, where it's like, you guys cannot be that mad about Alex and his haircut. This is like, what are we doing? Know, and then with Nick, with Alex, with Amir, there's not much dimension from those characters either. So I think there either needs to be some dimension and drama, different things we're talking about, or some dimension and personality.
And we had that dimension last season.
I don't think Phil should come back, but I do think Mariah should come back because I feel like she represents that group of Black people who aren't affluent, and that is important to get everybody in that pot.
Exactly.
And that's what's important to Black people, is to be to accurate reflections, right? And so a lot of this drama, we're just like, yawn. You know what I mean?
No, and I think that's the consensus that I've also seen on Twitter. Preparing for this episode, we knew that we were gonna discuss Summer House Martha's Vineyard, so I was like searching, through the Twitter streets to see like what people were talking, and specifically Black Twitter,
X.
and X.
I don't subscribe to calling it X. I call it Twitter still.
My good sister won't let you forget it. So just looking through Black Twitter and seeing what people are feeling, there was this. We love Summer House Martha's Vineyard.
We do.
We love it. We think it's important and we think it's necessary to reality TV and Black reality TV. We loved when it got picked up. Black Twitter championed for a reunion and we got a reunion. Mm-hmm. And I'm also seeing Black Twitter shift in the sense of like, they're already casting season 3 in the sense of like certain things have to change. And the one critique that I'm seeing is that they feel like the cast is too one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. There needs to be different variations of Blackness in this group that we had in season 1, but we did not see in season 2. And it's starting to like, for the Black experience of watching the show, it's starting to feel so one tone and not representative of Black friendships and Black groups.
Because when you look at Atlanta, Kenya, pageant girl, actress, Hollywood star in terms of Black Hollywood Blackness, that was Kenya. Mm-hmm. Nene Leakes, right? Average everyday Black woman, married into money, right. Got on the show, came up that way. Kim, who also doesn't come from affluence. Mm-hmm. And that representation that you don't see on the other white shows where there are housewives who are not affluent.
Exactly.
And so that representation in Kim and how that symmetry between middle class and lower, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's a lot of dimensions playing along in that thing. It works in certain shows because that's the standard in that show. Right. But when you get to a Black show, there's so much leveling with how we live our lives, the different types of class systems working together, that is important to show that. And they're not doing that. And on top of not doing that, you guys are the drama is nonsensical. So it's, like, it's like, yo, like really, like if I was dating a guy.
Let's get into it. Let's get into Noel and Summer.
Let's get into Noel and Summer. First of all, I'm going to call you to the carpet, Noel, because whether they had sex or not, why would you want to date somebody your friend was dating?
Because you're on a reality TV show.
Exactly.
True. Read me.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. That's, I had never thought about any of that because that's not my perspective, obviously. Exactly. I'm really grateful to have heard all that.
Yeah.
I think about the shows from the reality, from the it's a show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do think you're talking about like reacting to different things and like that doesn't really align. I agree with you in that sense. And I think an issue with the show this season, I'm really enjoying this season
and
overall.
We are too.
Right. But I agree there could be, and I think one of the things that last season had in terms of drama that we do not have this season is a through line. Mm-hmm. And that was with Silas and Jasmine. Mm-hmm. If that was something that in every episode we could weigh in on, we could see the evolution of that thread, this newly married couple who's having issues already and like, it was tough to watch, honestly. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that this season. This season, every episode is like
scattered.
It's totally scattered. Yeah. There's no, and I think that a show would suffer because of that, because you have to have a through line like that to, oh, I want to see the update on this. Beverly Hills, I want to see the update on Erica. Beverly Hills, I want to see the update on Kyle and whatever.
What's the core issue?
Exactly, and there is no core issue. At least that we can.
I'm so happy that you painted that because that's literally the problem. Yeah. It's so many little issues that are not.
We're not invested in.
We're not investing in them too much.
We don't know who to be mad at. We don't know who to like.
Right.
We don't know. I know who I don't like. Like, what I'm saying is like, we thought that Summer, and originally in the beginning of season 2, I thought Summer, Jordan, and
Noel,
Shanice, and Noel were going to be like the core 4, and they were going to be icing Jasmine out.
Right.
That's what I thought would be coming into this. Like, okay, Jasmine wasn't that likable. I think it was by way of her husband.
Yeah, I think so too.
And so now, they've been hanging out with her. hanging out outside of her, taking pictures, going on vacations, doing press, and she's nowhere to be found. And so what does that break down to on the show? Why did that happen? Did she, what's going on? But now on the show, it's like Noelle and Jordan are like, they don't like each other. And we thought they were besties and bosom buddies.
No, and also like Noelle and Summer, there's tension there.
Summer and Jordan.
Yeah, like there's tension there because I feel like Noelle is like, girl, like, you're my friend and you like brought me on the show and kind of like didn't give me the things that I feel like I should have known.
Right.
When jumping into the camera, now I'm flirting with this guy. I low-key like him at this point.
But I'm gonna push back because at the table that Noelle was at, when her and Alex were arguing, she said, "You've been inside me, so
right, exactly
inside of me."
Yeah, I don't know. I think Noelle was maybe willfully ignorant to the nature of Summer and Alex's
connection.
Entanglement. But yeah, I actually overall really love Noelle. Like what she's bringing. Hilarious. She's bringing some humor, and I think sometimes the house can get really serious.
Yeah,
and I think they needed the humor from Noelle. Summer to me is like the unexpected villain that we're getting. Divisive for sure, but we need a villain.
We do need a villain.
You know what I'm not getting enough? Not getting enough from the guys.
Yeah,
they all have girlfriends or not playing ball like Alex. It's sort of like
exactly,
and I like them, I think, but like,
and
we only need one, which is Amir because he's like aloof and funny and strange.
But we need a single guy in the mix too who's like willing
to be messy,
to hook up and
with Alex,
be messy. But then but Alex is also so like,
I'm too good for the.
It's like I wish that the Summer and Alex thing had happened during the summer. Because it feels like it's like two mismatched stories. That's why I'm glad we're getting a reunion out of this show. It's like, let's get Andy on the fucking case.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't know.
I think that and I wanted to see like more camaraderie. I mean, they did come around Jasmine when Jasmine finally said,
they
like,
did.
Guys, like I'm pregnant. Like that was beautiful to see all of them come into
congratulations,
prayer.
Jasmine.
Congratulations, Jasmine. And
however, get rid of the blonde wig. We're going.
Honey,
it's terrible. It's terrible.
We love Jasmine down here. But yeah, we were discussing this offline. I was like, even Jasmine's future on the show, like, how does a mother,
we had it out. We
were seriously discussing this, like on a show like Summer House. How does someone that's a parent can, continue to be on the show? My good sister here believes that Jasmine can come back and...
Here's the thing. Parents vacation.
They do go on vacation.
And they're there for 2 weeks. She has her baby. She comes back for 2 weeks. This is relief from me being a mother. I'm going to let my hair down. I'm going to tussle. I'm going to get my frustrations out. If Silas comes back, maybe we could talk about how he's not helping, how he's being misogynistic, whatever that looks like.
Allegedly.
I think it's a lot of room for her.
Yeah.
In that.
And I think that's where the fact that original Summer House is they go to this house every weekend for 2 months. That's where the setup of having it be 2 weeks would help like kind of, it would represent that vacation, that time away from the baby.
Right.
Maybe she goes home for the middle weekend. Who knows? But like, I think it's possible. I don't think the kids should come to the house.
Right.
I think that because remember on Atlanta when Kenya brought her daughter to the trip to South Carolina.
It's a party pooper.
Yeah, and it's sort of like everyone feels like they have to tiptoe and be quiet downstairs late at night. And it's like, well, nobody needs to be feeling that when they're taping a show like this.
And then it's also like, Marlo kicking the door and...
that was ridiculous.
It was too much. But also, like, if I'm filming a show,
but also the kids shouldn't be on the trip. I'm sorry. I think that. Obviously across the line, but I don't think the kids should be on the trip.
To me, I just felt like as a parent, I feel like sometimes that could be...
Are you a parent?
I'm not.
Okay.
Let me clarify.
Let me preface. I'm not a parent. I'm a father, but I'm not a parent. I'm kidding.
You're a daddy.
Andy, every time I hear Andy say that, it's like, you're so hilarious. He's like, I am daddy to... I forget. It's something so funny.
Dad to one, daddy to many. Or something
yeah. Father to two, daddy to many.
Yes, there it is.
No, but if I ever become a parent, I think that my image as a parent matters to me. So I don't know if I personally, me, Welington, I will see myself having conflict of how I'm showing up on camera all the time because of the fact that I'm a parent. So,
but do you think that Jasmine showed up in a way ever on her time on the show that like wouldn't look good as a mom? I don't think that. I think she carries herself pretty well.
But also she's our generation, so I don't think we'll look at it and be like, she's a bad mom.
Yeah, there's different expectations. There's different awareness.
Maybe the boomers, but we'll be like, oh, she's letting,
Yeah, we get it.
We're not gonna be thinking about it.
But I understand that, but I feel like Jasmine in particular, I don't think she's ever carried herself on the show in a way that like would let her come off bad,
She has.
Yeah, this isn't Jocelyn's cabaret, honey.
Right. But I was very not having Silas around. I was very excited to see her in a different era because the situation with Silas did give us drama and it kept us fed, but we weren't seeing Jasmine in Jasmine's full form.
Her true form.
I agree.
And I think that seeing her this season, navigating the relationships, it even goes to show the way she communicates with other people. I feel like she's so level-headed and like chill and like easy to talk to and easy to understand because she doesn't have the situation with Silas.
And also, Black Twitter gave her a good lashing last season.
So she was humbled a little bit.
How do you guys feel about Preston and Bria's relationship?
So I think it's interesting between Preston and Bria because they go so 0 to 100 with each other so quick.
And then back to 0.
And then back to 0 in the same episode. You see them kiki down like you kiki with your girl. And then you see them like saying, like yelling at each other, So it's kind of like
any straight girl queer relationship.
Right,
it's so
bestie.
Yeah.
You're cisgender heterosexual bestie, and I'm the gay one, and then it's just like that,
And then you add the cameras to it. And I feel like the reason why it seems like one of the elephants in the room is they all think that Bria is sort of acting up for the cameras a little bit. I think Preston gets really frustrated with that. And I think that is sort of the subtext to a lot of their
because he
arguments.
Really knows
he's like, you don't act like this in your real life.
Exactly.
That's sort of what I read from how he responds to her. Because she does go from 0 to 100. And that's good for reality TV if it's authentic. But I think that he views it as inauthentic.
Right.
And it doesn't always, it does seem to be out of left field.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I'm looking at Bria like, I don't understand how we got here.
Yeah.
Like, relax.
Totally.
And then she'll rope herself in a conversation that has nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
Get mad, scream, storm off. And we're all just like, girl.
And then it's like, another thing is also like, I don't want to be threatened with I'm leaving the house every time you get pissed.
I know.
Bye, girl.
Like, we're not leaving the house, actually. We're not.
That's another issue the show has overall. It's like too many people are leaving the house. I'm like, let's like stay.
Yeah. We're only here for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that she recalibrated for season 2 and like overshot it a little bit. I think that if she dials it back, even just 20%, 15%, like she would kind of hit the sweet spot of like, okay, we need you. We do. But it's we're doing a little too much.
Yeah.
And I love her boyfriend. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah,
I think he's a great time when he comes on camera.
He doesn't know what he's doing
at all. And he's like,
which is good.
Or what he's saying.
He's making out with her extra hard and extra. I'm like, I'm here for him. I like him. 10.
He's showing up with watches for everybody.
But he's like, I love you very much. I love you very much. It's so good. I like the dramatics of them as a couple.
Totally, I agree.
Him walking in with the pajamas.
And they're an unexpected couple too. It's like, I want to better understand them and like
how this dynamic,
intriguing,
Yeah. You're kind of like you don't know that you're rooting for them, but you low key are rooting.
Yeah,
for
I
them.
like that.
For sure. They have fun. They have a jet set life. I don't know where the funds are coming from, but I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying
we don't got time for that.
I don't have those funds,
Me either, Chin.
Listen,
not yet.
I'm gonna give the cast grace. I think that specifically as a Black cast on Bravo, I think that there's so much responsibility to perform. So I'm gonna give the cast grace this season when it comes to some of the things that we discussed in this episode. They're trying to perform. They're trying to give us a season. They're trying to come back. They're trying to save jobs, and I appreciate that. But I think that let's look back at season 1 and the magic that was season 1 because of that organic friendship. This feel like a real group of friends, and let's get back to that, because right now I feel like the friend group is starting to get a little too dispersed.
And I want to call something out. Is Nick's girlfriend coming for the couple trip?
I think she's coming.
I agree with you. I think that there needs to be more singleness in the house, men, on a male perspective. I think that if the guys are not going to get in drama with the women, they should get in drama with each other.
Yes.
I would like to see that. I would like...
And Amir tried. Because remember, Amir clocked Nick with being too handsy with the women.
He did.
And it's also that this cast is also so aware of that the way they communicate, it's not the way that we expect them to, in the sense of like chaos. They actually try to understand it.
Yeah, like, because Nick is handsy, and I wish they would, when he asked the girls, they would have been like, yeah, you're like, back up.
They kind of avoided it.
They avoided it.
Yeah. Well, he came in when they were sleeping, to be fair, but they avoided it.
Yeah, because he is handsy, and he can be like, we all know a guy like that. Like, it's like, calm down.
And we see it on TV. Like, you literally are someone that's supposed to be in a relationship, but when the women are dancing or, everybody's doing something, people are in bikinis, you're eyeing, and the camera watches you, and the producers lean into it because we know it's messy. So it's there.
This is controversial. I would like to see Silas come back and explain himself, or if he's learned, or see the new dynamic. I had this critique in the production chat, but I think some other core elements are missing. Like, I haven't seen a genuine cookout. I haven't seen the family come. I haven't seen an aunt come.
Right. And remember Summer House early years when the parents would come?
Oh, yeah. Parent weekend. There was like a parent weekend.
Yeah,
why don't they have that?
And I feel like for the Black experience, like having all the aunties come, cook down, have a barbecue.
Having a Black aunt come, talk to Jordan, Noel, or Noel and Summer about Alex, and there are certain
peak television,
priceless things that happen in this community that I'm not seeing, And I think that next season, to ramp it up, they need to bring in some of those reinforcements, to your point, and bring in some of those elements. I would love for Mariah to come back. I would love for her to see an aunt or a parent or some sort of like cultural nuance happen. You know what I'm saying? I think it's beautiful that queer representation is there, that Preston's boyfriend is coming to next season, and what that looks like. I would like the men to engage more with Preston and give him an opportunity to talk about being queer and Black.
Exactly. And make that space of understanding.
Correct.
And creating that, because I feel like that's also
go to church. They haven't even went to church together.
Alex, they did go on the recent episode.
Yeah, okay.
Shanice went and made a skirt.
I love
she said, God says, come as you are, and I came as I was.
That's good.
But yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like,
1,000%.
Stuff that's 1,000%. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to see all of that.
Let's get into some of these things. So, let's shake it up. Let's have the boys clock in. Let's have the men clock in. You guys are not clocked in. You
guys, the women have been carrying the show, and this is not a women's show. This is an ensemble cast of men and women. So everybody has to be pulling.
Like, Alex could have flirted with Noel for the plot. He could have been playing both sides for the plot. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah. And I feel like Summer House should be that messy, because this is not Real Housewives. This is not our lives and our families.
No. It's also young people who need to have like that kind of different kind of drama. And even like the Amir Nick thing, it's like, yeah, he confronted him about it, but ultimately it went on to the women to like
handle that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's
like, remember when they used to go to Jersey Shore, they used to go to the club and they all would be dancing. Yeah. And Sam would get mad and storm off, and they're beating people up on the boardwalk. Like, give us some drama.
Yeah, it's like they go out on the show, but if there's more single people around, then we would get
drama.
Good shit would come out of those nights.
Yeah. I wonder what is peak, because 4th of July is peak Martha's Vineyard season for Black people. So I don't think they're going during that time.
Yeah, I know the first season was like totally off season. I think this time might have been like
a little bit, and
July, August, so like later than that probably.
I think they actually need to shoot it.
Right.
It would be more impactful if they shot it during the season.
Also, another difference that I'm thinking about now is like regular Summer House has big parties with like, they bring hundreds of people to this house. Why is Martha's Vineyard not having big parties at the house with like
such a mecca
other people that they're meeting in town? And
maybe the budget isn't justified yet.
Maybe.
But also, I think they're just out of season, because I think
maybe, and that's reflecting what you're saying.
Yeah, from my experience, that 4th of July point is where a lot of Black people migrate to Martha's Vineyard.
Got it.
Well, the conversation has been
It's been great.
It's been amazing. Gibson, thank you so much for joining us on the roundtable today.
I'll come back anytime you want.
So insightful.
Yes. And, I love different perspectives, and we love talking about different shows on this. This is Reality Right After, so we're going to talk about all types of reality TV. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having
talking
me.
about Summer House. Let everybody know where they can find you and everything about you.
Yeah, I had a great time. Learned a lot, too, from my time at the table. My podcast is called Gabbing with Gib. It's every Tuesday and Friday. Talk about mostly Bravo, all reality TV. And yeah.
Thank you so
much. Go subscribe.
Thanks. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us today. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, click that subscribe button. I am Welington, your host, Ricky. Thank you so much for being with me today. We're out. See you next week.